Hi there, Adam Gower here, and welcome to the Gower Crowd podcast, syndication in the digital age at gowercrowd.com. Now, my guest today is the first time I have ever had a veritable TV reality show star on the program, Dave Seymour, who was star of A&E's Flipping Boston television show and is now fund manager at Freedom Venture Investments. He's going to be joining me. Dave is a very interesting fellow. He's a former firefighter who had this tremendously successful television program. What's interesting about the conversation with Dave, coming from the TV world as he does, is the comparison between television and online communications. You see, it strikes me that television, as broad as it is and as powerful as it is, has the distinct limitation that you can't grab anybody's email address. You can look at Nielsen ratings, if there are such a thing. It's been a while since I did any Nielsen analytics, but anyway, you can look at the ratings and get a sense of how many people are watching, but you don't know who they are individually. So how the heck do you follow up with them? Right? It's just like anathema to me in the digital world. Nevertheless, Dave and I talk about those challenges and also how he is leveraging his stardom to build his new company. Now, do please be sure to go to the podcast page for today's episode, where you'll find some links to Dave and to his new business, as well as links to my new book, Syndicate, which is geared specifically to developers and reveals just about everything, that the top most important things that any developer needs to do to raise money online. It is extremely detailed. Plus, it comes with a 72-minute training, video training from me. So it's totally worth going along and buying that book, Syndicate, at gowercrowd.com. All right, so let's get on with the conversation with Dave. I did leave some of the pre-podcast chat in the recording that I'm going to share with you right now, so you can get the flavor of Dave and how he and I got on so well. So here he is, A&E Flipping Boston star Dave Seymour, now fund manager at Freedom Venture Investments.
I probably put on about 35 pounds during COVID.
You know, isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
One of my guys says it isn't, you know, it's abbreviated to C-19. He says, no, it's C+19.
That's right. That's right. Buddy of mine says there's three people going to come out of the lockdown. You're either going to be a hunk, a chunk, or a drunk.
Or maybe just the latter two, like me.
Yeah.
A chunky drunk.
A chunky drunk. Oh, lad. For sure. Oh.
You know, I'll tell you something funny. So I'm building a funnel right now.
Yeah.
And so somebody's put up a kind of a boilerplate text.
Yeah.
On the page. It's an American company. I go through it, and right at the end, there's a space where you're supposed to put the call to action, right? Buy now.
Yeah.
And he's actually written, buy gum, buy now. Who the hell wrote that? Somebody from Yorkshire.
Why, lad?
From Yorkshire on the team.
Black pudding's black today, mother.
What's that?
You remember black pudding's black today, mother? Even the white bits are black today. Oh my God.
Oh gosh.
Crazy.
All right. So let's, you up for doing a quick poddy?
Let's go, lad. Let's give it some wellish, shall we?
Give it some jip. Right. I'll tell you what, I've been here so long that I'm not even sure where some of these expressions come from in the end.
No, I don't know anymore either, for sure.
And you know what?
I don't know.
I also, I listen to my voice online.
Yeah.
And I know that Americans hear me as being English, but there's occasionally I listen to what I'm saying and I thought, oh my goodness, that is hard sure. Northern accent coming through that.
Sure. Well, look, the North is it's so much stronger. You know, if I started talking like this, mate, you know what I mean? Like I did when I was growing up as a fucking kid, nobody would understand a word we're saying. You know what I mean, mate? All right. How you doing? You hard? You know what I mean?
Well hard.
Well hard. He's a tough nut. You know, that Northern accent, it's got such a brogue to it. You know, like I pick it up immediately for obvious reasons. I go home, they think I'm Australian. I stay around here too long, they think I'm a Bostonian Australian. So it's we all are acclimate to our surroundings.
And it's funny because and then when I go back to Manchester, they all tell me to stop talking American.
That's right.
I'm not sure what I'm doing exactly, but I know I picked up something.
I don't know.
All right, so let's jump in. Dave Seymour, thank you so much for joining me. It's a real pleasure.
My pleasure. No, my pleasure, buddy. Thank you.
And here's what I want to, first of all, star as you are of A&E's Flipping Boston, a TV star.
Yes.
Not had one of them on the show before. So my first question is as follows, and we'll talk about Freedom Venture a little bit later, right?
Yeah,
roll into that. But video killed the radio. That's what they say. Has internet killed TV? That's my question to you.
Yeah, that's a great question. And you know what? If you ask my 25-year-old son, he'd say yes. You ask an old guy like me in his early 50s, I'd say no, right? It's interesting. That's a great question, Adam. My son, 25, computer major out of Wentworth in Boston. He's a programmer. He's that ultimate millennial. You know what I mean? I make fun of him because he's like the big bushy beard. He's a Bernie Sanders covert, right? And I make a lot of fun of him. But the kid has never had never had cable. He's not lived in that world. And if we look at what's going on now with, streaming services, et cetera, like I like to watch the Premier League, as I'm sure you do, right? We're Englishmen at heart. So I want to see what's going on in the football leagues. So now I get my football in a streaming online video with Peacock, right? I don't even care about what's on the TV anymore. Right. So it's interesting to see, how these things transition, right? It's kind of like, watch this one. A guy said to me one time, he said, you either get on board with technology or you get run over with technology, right? You either understand the curve or you don't. Right. And he tells the story of Blockbuster Video when they were approached by Netflix. You know that story, right?
No, go ahead. I remember Blockbuster.
So Blockbuster Video. Yeah, they were the big dog in the fight. They were on every strip mall in America. Every corner, just like some other services out there. But Netflix approached them and they said, we're in the same kind of genre. We should partner up. What do you think? And Blockbuster Video went, oh, no, with Blockbuster Video, you little chihuahua whippersnapper, be gone. Go away. You don't know who I am. But we know who they are now, don't we? So, yeah, interesting to see where it's all going to go.
So the question stems from, obviously, the reach that you had when you were on A&E in this hit show was really enormous. And I have to confess that I was involved in the entertainment industry in the 1990s when I built movie theaters, and we had some rudimentary tracking. We did some rudimentary tracking for detecting where our customers came from. For example, when we would send out discount coupons by mail in the 90s, in Japan, by the way, by mail in large areas around the cinemas that we were developing. And we color coded them. So certain areas got a blue voucher, certain got green. So as they came in, we knew which areas to really focus on and etc. But it was mail. And now, as I sit here today, most of what we do is we build the systems, we put everything in place, but then the real work comes afterwards when we track the data. And the data is extraordinarily granular. I mean, incredibly detailed, mind-blowingly detailed data.
Yeah.
So how did you measure performance on your show? What were the measures of performance that you had? How did you know, who was watching and how many were watching?
Yeah. So it's interesting, the ratings, right? I can't remember the name of it. It's not Moody. That's
Nielsen.
Wall Street. Nielsen. Thank you. Yeah, the Nielsen ratings would come down, and within that database of Nielsen ratings, so we were a Saturday morning lifetime programming A&E network. Okay, there was like a 3-hour slot, I think, from 9 to noon or 8 to 11 in the morning Eastern Standard, and in there they would put in their blocks of shows. Well, for us, the reason that we got 4 seasons out of it and got some nice tracking out of it, I don't know these numbers. Like, I don't have comparisons. I don't know what's a good rating and what isn't, right? I know that, the Kardashians got more followers on Twitter than I do. So, that's as much as I know. When it came to...
I can't imagine why.
You know why? She got the kadunk and I don't. But I can see where this show's going. You put 2 Englishmen in a room, it's all over.
Back a bit, exactly.
We're supposed to be a highly intellectual financial podcast.
Exactly right. Everyone thinks that we are highly intellectual because we speak like this, but they don't really know that deep down we're extremely shallow.
We are. We just need a good pint and a warm cuddle and we're all set. But anyway, the ratings came down for this Saturday morning and we were like 1.5 million viewers in this slot for that 1 hour. And apparently we busted all records. Like, we were off the charts great. So, it ran for a while and look, nothing lasts forever. And, it broke down a little bit and then it would go up a little bit. But what happened was they eliminated lifetime programming and that was why the show ended. But to your point, within there, we could see the demographic. We could see, ages X to Y, demographically. We never had the data like we look for today around financial capability. But, we got to see the age group. And it's exactly as you thought it would be. It was, women ages, 22 to 32, whatever it was, who were sitting at home watching the house flipping shows and HGTV and, oh my God, Bob, look at that. Make that for me this
That's
weekend.
actually fascinating. You say that's what you would expect, but actually I wouldn't. I would expect a different demographic. So tell me about that. Actually, forgive me. Do tell me also, just so the one guy that's listening today knows exactly what it was. The show was about flipping houses, right? So what was the business? Just describe kind of the concept.
The business is house flipping, buying distressed single family assets, fixing them up, making them sexy, selling them for a profit. That's it.
Okay.
Right? Flipping Boston, you got flipping Vegas, flipping this, flipping that, flip a flop, flip. All right. There's so much of that crap out there now. It's crazy. But there was a true business model behind it. Okay. So what we had was we had the demographic that loved the reveal. It was ugly and now it's beautiful. Do that in my house, please, honey. Right? But then we did also have the I want to be a rich real estate investor demographic. And that was across the board. That could be anything from retirees all the way down to, young guys and girls coming out of college. Okay. So, it covered a spectrum that was kind of interesting because you never knew where the recognition was going to come from, to be very honest with you.
And were you entertainment or educational, or was it kind of blend of the two?
That's a great question too. Look, when it's a TV show, it always amazed me when somebody would say, hey, I loved it when XYZ happened. Was that real? And I used to say to him, look, buddy, you see me walking into a room on a camera, but you don't see a camera behind me. Then you see me walking into the exact same room, but the camera's now behind me, but you don't see a camera in front of me. Come on, use some intelligence, please. So it was a case of it had to have an entertainment value to it. And, without patting myself on the back, I've got a theater background, a stand-up comedy background. I brought the entertainment component to a TV show. And that, I think that was the engagement. I could make it fun. I could be goofy. I could be mad and serious and, oh my God, the pipes burst. Dun, dun, dun. Commercial break, come back. Don't worry. We fixed it. It's going to be okay. Wow. It's all of that silliness. So, it had the show value, but whenever we got the recognition from the networks, your CNBCs, your CNN, your Foxes, all of that stuff, well, they didn't want the fluff and buff, the dog and pony show. They wanted data. They wanted the serious side of our business. And that's where I believe the true value of the time spent, in a house flipping show came to fruition, was the fact of being recognized as an expert just because you're on a TV show, which is why, we say, go write a book. Hey, I wrote a book. Wow, you must be an expert. You wrote a book. So that's, you know, that's the flavor, if you will, that was under it that was really valuable to us.
That's very interesting. All right, so let's talk about video, because the one thing that really does transition from television, from, you know, video killing the radio show, from television to the internet is clearly video. And one of the things that we talk about with our private clients and with you know, people that buy the courses that we offer is, to the extent possible, get on video. And I'll tell you something, actually, Dave, that I had a podcast. Well, obviously we're recording a podcast, but when I started, it was only audio.
Yeah.
And I was really uncomfortable when I started. I didn't like it. In fact, I started interviewing professors to start with, because I knew I could ask them one question and they talk for an hour. And then I could say thank you, and I didn't actually have to interact with them at all. And I have actually discovered my own voice and my own persona, and my own authenticity being on video, because I can see you. I enjoy talking to you. I enjoy the interaction.
Correct.
Whereas on a phone call, a recorded phone call, I get all nervous. I'm not comfortable with it. But I am unusual. Most people aren't comfortable on video. So tell me something about the journey, and from never being on video and becoming impactful, let's say, on video.
Wow, that's that's a great question. Look, here's my take on it. You know, to be authentic and to be present takes a lot of personal development. I'm going to be very direct. Okay, to be able to stand, you know, it's almost that imagery of being naked in front of people. Am I goofy? Am I fat? Am I thin? Am I too old? Am I too young? Am I too black? Am I too white? Am I too smart? Am I too dumb? Am I too rich? Am I too poor? We listen to an internal dialogue that's been generationally programmed all the way back to the first girlfriend. I'll never forget her. She said I had a pizza face. Why would she want to go out on a date with me? Right? 14-year-old kid with pimples and zits. She called me pizza face, broke my heart. Right? So those impactful moments are programmed into us. So at some point, I feel to be impactful on video, to be resonant with the people that you're talking to, takes a level of authenticity that very few people actually meet in their lives. So let's go around in a little bit of a circle, if I may.
Sure.
Why is reality TV so impactful? Why do people watch these shows? Because now they can live somebody else's life rather than their own. And for me, that's a sad state of affairs. So I think to be impactful in any video content is authenticity, and know that we said in England, I love you, warts and all, right? I love you for your good, your bad, and your ugly. And just realizing that here's the key to that as well. I think you can get more presence and more feedback that's genuine from people if you just work on the fundamentals of communication for a start, like listening, right? The ability to listen to somebody else and then react to what they said is a very powerful tool that not many people have, right? You know what I'm saying?
So when you were on the show, and forgive me, I haven't seen it. I'm embarrassed to say.
Goodbye.
That's right, I'm off. I just have to go to YouTube. Is it on YouTube?
No, we are Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime. Oh, okay, good.
Amazon Prime.
All right, so my wife has that, so we'll definitely check that out. I feel embarrassed, but I confess anyway that I haven't watched it. But my question,
you were in integrity. You were being honest, and it created a comedic. No, this is good. It created a comedic moment. I took the cue. Right. This interaction, people will now remember, right?
So let me ask you this: so when you're recording a TV show,
yeah,
I'm guessing that you had a crew of professional videographers, probably a sound person, a couple of angles with cameras, people who live their lives day in, day out, recording and editing video.
Yeah.
So did that
was that intimidating for you? Again, the reason I'm looking around my desk is because I'm recording with a camera on a weird arm on my computer, or I could use my phone to record video.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between, I suppose my question, the word that I have here is, do you need Hollywood quality video in order to be able to record video, or can you just be as authentic without it? And in fact, without it, does that make you more authentic, do you think?
That's a great question as well. So I went down to Florida. I hired a full-on crew, and we shot an infomercial with Kevin Harrington, who's one of the original Sharks on Shark Tank.
That's right. And one of your partners, right?
He's an advisory. He's on our advisory board for our fund. Okay. Yeah. So we go down there, and there's 4 guys sitting underneath a shade, a light shade, and there's all the cameras and the pool in the background, and they're fine-tuning all of the lights, and then they blend them, and the audio's fan-bloody-tastic, and it's like, whoa. And I looked at it, and I have an advantage that I have spent so much time on camera. But then when I looked at the film of the guys who had not, my 2 other partners, not including Kevin Harrington, you would have thought they were going through some kind of physical torture, right? Around all of these distractions. My partner, my investment officer, my CIO, Chief Investment Officer, Walter Novicki, he flushed up like red, like they had to do some crazy colors, because it is just not his comfort place. But if I do a Zoom call with Walter one-on-one, just over the internet, we record it for either educational purposes or it's an investor call that we do together. He's in his element, and he's prime. He's beautiful. I know to keep quiet and let him deliver the message. Look, I don't think you need that full. In fact, I know you don't need that full-on, Hollywood stuff. We didn't have it on the TV show. Yeah, they made it look good, but we have what they called shooter producers, run and gun, they called it. So they'd be shooting on the move all the time. The magic in that world is the editing.
Right.
You can take really, really bad video, but if you've got exceptional editing and you can put in the effects and everything else, I mean, look at these YouTubers that are out there today. All they're doing is what we're doing. Adam, we just, I've got a little Logitech camera and a sexy microphone that makes me look important, and that's it, But these YouTubers can put the effects in there. They can create a story. I think what's important about video is this. Tell a story. Think about storytelling, okay? Storytelling is biblical all the way back. People, Canterbury Tales, we grew up on that in England, right? We all know the Canterbury Tales and all of the stories around them. So storytelling, allowing somebody to take a journey with you through vocabulary is critical. And now you do it with authenticity on video, and people go, I'm coming with you. You sound like you're going in the right place. Let's go. So I think that's the power.
So is that what you did on the show as well? I did. Just to be clear, when we talk about telling stories, we're not talking about telling fiction. We're talking about We're talking about creating a narrative from something that we're living, essentially, something that we believe. So how did you do that when you flip it? What does that mean when you're recording video, flipping a house, for example?
Yeah, look, man, one of the first
You're welcome to say that's a good question as often as you like.
It is a good question. It is. Look. It
always makes me feel good that I'm getting something right when somebody says.
Don't we learn? Don't we learn as businessmen and women? We always say, that's an excellent question. Even if it's not, we just say it.
Especially if it's not. It buys time to think of the right answer.
But listen to what you just said right afterwards. You said, you could tell me that's a great question every time because it made you feel what? It made you feel good.
Right.
When I'm I don't even think about it anymore. Watch this one. I like to hear those kinds of feedbacks when somebody's working alongside me as well. Now I start that sentence with, I like you. People hear, I like you. We all want to be liked. It's like the NLP stuff. Forget about it. So I digress.
I think that is NLP.
Maybe a little bit. Just a touch. Just a touch.
All right, go on.
You know what it was is the first few shows that we did, there were specific moments that almost made it like a almost like an episode of Cops or an episode of, 911 or an episode of Hoarders or an episode of Intervention. Because at the end of the day, no matter what the business is, it's driven by people. There was one scene in one of our early shows where legitimately somebody broke in and stole all the tools right off the job site. I went back to my house. I'd worked in construction when I was a firefighter. I went back to my house, gathered all of my tools, all my nail guns, my framing guns, my finish guns, compressors, everything, loaded it all in the truck, and I just dished it out to the guys. But one of the contractors, he had some challenges. You know what I mean? He had some problems. There's a little bit of that in construction. And he went off. He went absolutely loopy-loo. And it was funny because I immediately went into paramedic firefighter de-escalation mode. Like I didn't think about it, but they got it all on camera. And I remember the shooter producer saying to me, I'm not sure if this is a house flipping show. I don't know what this show is. What the hell are you doing? I'm like, I'm just being me. There was another guy we had a crazy next door neighbor, and he was absolutely brutal, and he was legitimately a right royal pain in the tush, right? And I nearly went at it with him a couple of times, but we're out in the backyard, and they wanted me to egg him on a little bit to see if he could, become even a bigger pain in the tush than he was. I'm trying to be PG here.
Right.
And
using an obscure Northern English term, tush.
Tush is a tushy. It's your rear end, love. It's what you sit on when you. But we're in the back, and I'm like, I'm going to cut this tree down, Donnie. And he goes, do whatever you want. He goes, as long as she's happy. And he does one of these, and it's all on camera. And I'm like, what's the matter? He goes, happy wife, happy life. She's always busting my chops about my drinking. That's what he says, right? I've never kept it a secret. I'm sober 30 years, right? I haven't picked up a drink, a drug, a mood, or mind-altering substance 30 years. I had a few challenges in my younger days. You know what I mean? So I look at Donnie, and I forgot there's a camera there. I said, you know what, bud? I said, there's a place we could go together where I can show you how guys like you got over problems like that. If you're interested, I could help you out a little bit. And the camera lady, I never forget her. Her name was, sorry, now I forgot her name. Christina Helbig. Our camera lady, she was our first one. She was a sweetheart. As we have this interaction on camera, she goes, I saw her camera go, oh, like she had a moment because she caught that reality in real time. But that doesn't sustain. And then, 3 seasons later, it's like, okay, Dave, on this episode, you're going to put down the wrong floor tile, and then you're going to get grumpy, and you're going to have to bust it all up again, okay? And that's where it got
staged
and unpleasant.
No longer authentic. So actually, I was going to ask you
authenticity.
Let's run through some quick insights. So
yes,
the listeners who are interested in being better on video, and then let's talk about Freedom Venture, because I would like to talk about that transition before we sign off. So one of the things that you said a few times, what I'm reading, is it's good to be in the moment.
Yes.
Right. And I tell you, when I'm recording training videos, for example, I seize up. I'm not so good at it unless there's somebody. I'm pointing behind me. I've got a whiteboard behind me. It's actually a green screen now. But if there's somebody on screen live, and I'm showing them a point or educating in some way, having them there really helps me. If I'm just staring at a screen, I'm like, I need a script, and it doesn't come out as authentic. So being in the moment is very important, and interacting for me. But for other people, what advice would you have for somebody who is interested in creating video to promote their projects, to raise money online? What advice would you give them? Any tricks that you would give them for getting comfortable on video?
Yeah, great. Look, practice makes perfect if you're uncomfortable, okay? And when I say practice makes perfect, I personally, and I think you're the same way, I can't read words verbatim, okay? I can't. I'm not a scripted guy. As soon as I go into scripted, then I'm acting and I'm not authentic, okay? People will relate to people who are authentic. So practice makes perfect, but this is critical, I think. You gotta have an exit. You gotta be purposeful in what you're doing on that video. Go from the back to the front, whereas everybody always says front to back.
That's
okay,
really
in this section, I got to talk about this. In this, I got to talk about that. I've been very blessed to be in platform speaking and platform sales throughout my career, right? I've been an educator all over the world. And I learned very, very quickly that just because I know the value of what I have, if I said to you, this is worth $1 million, people go, oh yeah? No, I've got to identify the pain, deliver the deliverables, take them on a journey through story, and then show them a solution to a potential problem. And then when I'm done with all of that on video, I always love to just take it away afterwards. This obviously isn't for you. You know, these high double-digit rates of returns are not going to be in your portfolio going forward. And that's okay. It's not for everybody. I understand that. As soon as you tell somebody they can't have it, they want it. I've done a lot of work on this stuff, Adam, influenced by Robert Cialdini. Cialdini, I think his name is.
Yes, that's funny. You should get I think his book somewhere under the mess of stuff on my. I could see the surface of my desk. I know it's here somewhere. Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah, influence, right?
The Power of Influence. A fantastic read.
It's a bit dated, but the lessons are very, very relevant today. Dated only in terms of the examples that he uses. Which
I'll sum the whole thing up in one sentence. You can't sell somebody a hamburger if they're full. Period. We create what are called voids. If you create a void for somebody, either a financial void, business void, personal void, legitimately show them there's a void there, then they want it, right? Human beings want to be comfortable. So if they're complacent and comfortable, they don't move. So we have a responsibility, and we can do it on video, right? We have a responsibility to share some discomfort. And then once we've shared that discomfort, so example, right? The COVID crisis has created a mass exodus of people out of the inner cities. They're moving to the secondary and tertiary markets. We have the highest unemployment in the country that we've seen in decades. You add to that the forbearance and foreclosure crisis that is impending in our country. Every expert will tell you there is a global financial crisis. My question to you is always this. Are you in a position to carry yourself through that financial crisis and retire in comfortable scenario surroundings at your $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month? If you look at that honestly, I think you can agree with me that the answer is no. The rate of inflation is higher than the rates of most returns that investors are getting in the current marketplace. What would it be like if 20 years from now, you weren't in the position you wanted to be and you were actually part of what we call the sandwich generation, where you are now looking after your parents and you're looking after your children because the whole thing's gone wrong? I know you don't want that scenario. Holy moly, this guy says I'm screwed. And it's real. It's not made up, right? You create the void, then fill the void with resolutions. Let them enjoy the pain, okay? Because we only move away from pain, right? We don't move towards it. If we're too hot, we want to be cool. If we're too cool, we want to be hot. If we're full, we don't want to eat. If we're hungry, we're looking for a snack, right? It's the human disposition. So if we can do the same thing in video, knowing purposefully what we're looking for from our clients, then we can generate some successes. Whew. All right. I hope you are recording this. That was good.
It was good, wasn't it? Yeah.
Wasn't it? I felt it.
Yeah.
I was in the moment.
I was actually recording that. Yeah. I'm glad to check. So every time I leave the house, I have to double check. I always reverse back down the street and make sure I close the bloody garage door.
I'm the same way. Are you kidding me?
Every time.
I know I pressed the button, but I get halfway up the cul-de-sac.
Did I close it? Let me check.
You know what that is? That's entrepreneurship. That's us as entrepreneurs always being 5 or 6 thoughts ahead.
I'm glad the positive. I'm glad you're looking at it positive. I thought it had to do with old age.
No, it's not old timers disease. It's actually entrepreneurism. We can.
All right. Let me ask you another question about TB, and then let's move on to Freedom Ventures before we wrap up. Any tricks that you can or suggestions that you can recommend for looking better on video? What would you recommend? Like you talked about this fellow in Florida, and like what should you do? Yeah.
Look, if we're recording, let's look at the iPhone now, right? You can do incredible things with the iPhone. If technology is not your skill set, go to frickin' YouTube and figure it out. Somebody knows how to do it, right? So what am I getting at? I'm getting at settings and lighting and process and all of that stuff. I mean, when we first started doing videos on a phone, I would consistently hold my phone vertical. So you get those crappy videos with the two lines on either side, right? Learn the camera phone, learn how it works, and learn how it works well. The selfie stick is still a great tool. You know, you can give yourself a little bit of distance and some depth. But if you're working in a home environment, if you're doing some online video, again, get a good microphone. I've got these light umbrella things, you know, that are around my office. My whiteboard is over there. It's a little in-house studio. It's not a lot of money. And just keep cranking out that content. I like to be filmed personally from, like, you know, the navel up, maybe my waist belt up. I'm not necessarily, you know, the full 6'2" shot when I'm going. You know, this picture that we see of each other right now, it's kind of a nice visual picture. Mm-hmm. No, I have a company in the background. You're using a green screen. I look like a professional. So I think all of those things are important. It's not hair and makeup and all of that stuff. Right. You know, I'm in a white, you know, Tommy Bahama t-shirt. If I've got high-end clients, I might be, you know, in a suit and jacket, but I got my own little wardrobe over there. You know what I mean? Pull out a jacket, pull out a shirt. I don't even need to wear pants anymore. How sweet is that? So
now I've got a stack of shirts sitting next to me.
Just pay attention to your lighting. Practice with it. Have some fun with it. Make it fun. If it's not fun, you're not going to do it, you know? So that's a tip.
Very good advice. In fact, right behind me on this whiteboard in big letters is the word FUN. I was talking to a prospect a few days ago and said, listen, the single most important thing if we work together, it's got to be fun for both.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Freedom Venture and the transition to that from fixing and flipping to multifamily. Tell me about that transition, and I'm interested to know what you bring from your prior world into this that helps in that venture.
Yeah. That's a great question.
Good.
This comes out, Adam. So a TV show, as we've just described, is a show. So what people didn't know about me personally was the fact that as my career got some traction, you know, it's just the right business to be in the commercial real estate investing world as well. Whether it's a 4-unit or in Chicago, they're 4 flats, 6, 10, 12 flats. Up here in New England, they're 3-deckers or 6 units, right? To be in commercial real estate. Commercial real estate is the gift that keeps on giving. As long as you buy it right, you manage it right, good tenants, good relationships, it'll work. And we know that over time, you look back 20 years, real estate will always increase in value. It will go through its dips, but when we do the T20 look back, we always know that commercial real estate is going to outperform all other investments out there. So I was always doing commercial investing. I had a presentation recently, and you'll appreciate this, I'm sure, with your experience and the amount of presenting you do to clients. It's a personal injury attorney up here in Boston. And I was sitting with him. He's a local guy. I'm sitting with him poolside. We're just shooting the breeze a little bit. And I'm kind of walking him through my presentation. This was when the fund was in its incipient phase. And I'm walking him through the presentation, and I'm explaining to him it's a core plus asset. And I'm explaining that what we do is we deal with tenants issues, management issues, and deferred maintenance. Now, I say deferred maintenance. He doesn't know what the heck deferred maintenance means. So he gets this aha moment, and he says, Dave, what you're really telling me is that this 140-unit apartment complex, you're going to do exactly to that what you did to the single-family houses in Boston. It's flipping Boston on steroids, right, Dave? And I went, oh, my Lord, I'm using all of this, this industry jargon, cash on cash, cap rates, debt service coverage ratios, MSAs, buy box, B-class properties, the stuff that just we live in every day as commercial investors. And I realized that day that, I have a value position for a lot of intelligent people who just never had the time nor the drive to be able to know what we know as commercial investors. And that was the day that I realized that commercial real estate investing on a large scale can be a gift to many people who deserve it. And I'm talking about my physicians, my doctors, some attorneys, some business owners. They may run the most fantastic Italian restaurant in the North End of Boston, but they're still putting money in a 401k. You know what I mean? So that's what the past did to build a foundation for the present. And I started with a few doors. I had as many as 100 doors up in Sanford, which is in Maine, about an hour from here. C-class properties, D-class tenants. I don't care. I never dealt with any of it. My partner did, and it was an equity split on that. So I've been incredibly familiar with the commercial multifamily, and I've only ever played in multifamily. I've had no interest, nor do I have any interest in retail, industrial, office space. I mean, those poor asset classes are taking such a beating right now. It's unbelievable.
Now, to what extent are you able to use the star power that you guys have? 'Cause I'm quite serious over at Freedom Venture to both find opportunities to invest in, but also to attract investors.
Yeah, we're still dialing it in, Adam. I'm not going to not be in authenticity now, right? Because it's slightly more uncomfortable. I wasn't under the impression or the belief that just because Dave from Flipping Boston waves his hand, people are going to jump up and start stroking checks for $250,000, right? I'm not that naive. But here's what I have found is that the doors that I can open, the RIAs, the BDs, all of these different brokers, the doors that I can open when my assistant calls and says, Dave Seymour, the star of Flipping Boston, would like to set an appointment with you to discuss what Freedom Venture Investments is doing. I find that to be a lot easier. I have the advantage of getting past the gatekeepers. What's really interesting now is everything in this is trust and relationship driven, right? I have a perceived trust and expertise from the show, and trust me, I leverage the you-know-what out of that every single day. What it does do for me is, even in this COVID climate, it allows me to get those one-on-one, like steak dinner presentations. Like in Massachusetts now, we can have 10 people at a table. So I can put 30, 40 qualified investors at a free luncheon. And that is an absolute score right there, because they really get to see the people. They get to get that presentation live, testimonials from a couple of other investors. So, that drives a lot of good traffic. The online game, as you know better than I, is a longer run. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So it's interesting, but I have the advantage. I really do. We've got, what do we got? Maybe 15, 16 million under management, about to pop in the next 30, 60 days. You compare me with the guys that are out there with, $1 billion under management. And one of my mentors is in the process of doing a double down. He's got $1 billion under management right now. He's got one deal that he's trying to take down that puts him $2 billion under management in one play. So, but here's the thing. Watch out. I'm coming for you. That's who I am. Like, I love that race. I love that challenge of being the best in the business. So
you said something, actually, Dave, you said something very interesting. And let's talk about that, and then let's wrap up, because I can't believe how fast this time has gone. I could talk to you for hours. You mentioned a mentor. That's something that actually popped up on my radar recently. In fact, it was Dennis Yu, who's coming up on an episode in the next couple of weeks. Talked about the importance of mentors. Tell me about that. What is, not, you don't need to tell me who, but tell me about the role of mentors in your life and what that means.
No, critical. We're not taught in our English school system and our backgrounds, which are very similar. We're not taught that mentorship is part of growth, right?
Yeah.
We didn't know the word mentor, did we? I know it wasn't in Manchester. It certainly wasn't in London.
No, I think there was some kind of peppermint sweet that was called what were they called?
Mementos.
Yeah, they were very good.
As we got, but not bad for an old memory, right?
Yeah.
Look, mentorship. I'll sum it up in one word. If you're the smartest person in a room, you're in the wrong room, right? Do not surround yourself with what I call dig jams. Damn, I'm good, just ask me. You know those kind of people, right? They ask you a question, and then all they're interested in doing is answering their own question to tell you how smart they are. You know, mentorship is a critical piece for both personal business growth. Finding people who are doing what you want to do at a higher level than you are, but nothing for nothing gets nothing. Find some reciprocity in there. Okay, find reciprocity. So the guy that helped me, you know, we've done $250 million worth of multifamily in our careers together, our team. So buying assets, working assets, making money, that's not the challenge. The challenge is now fund structure and now bringing capital in when it's not just on one deal, it's on a multiple amount of deals. So you don't get that immediate vision. So, you know, this guy walked me through his customer, not so much his customer acquisition because that's his secret sauce, but once a customer was in, you know, what is the timeline of expectation of getting capital into the fund? How many touches does a client need to feel comfortable to make that move? And he just opened up the doors, and in return, you know, I get to speak at his live events. We do some co-branding. And I said to him, why would you want to co-brand with me? I said, if somebody identifies with me, you know, I'm a pretty big personality rather than you. And he's funny. He said, look, man, there is enough money out there for everybody to be successful. The investor, us as operators, you know, the tenants, the property managers, the marketing team, everybody can win. This is just the best business there is. And he said, I'll put my $1 billion assets under management against your personality any day. You know what I mean? So I respect, you know, I respect that kind of directness out of a mentor. I've used mentors for everything. I paid for education when I started, you know, broke as a joke back in the day. And Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul, spent $20,000 just to go hang out with Jack for one day at his house, because that influence, that mentorship for personal development was critical for me as well. So I'm always looking for people. Look, man, I'm going to go direct. Ready? I'm talking to you because you have skill sets that I want to develop, right? Let's just be honest about it. You're talking to me because you got the guy from the TV show, could be a pretty good podcast that people are interested in. Right. Let's just go direct, right? It's reciprocity. And if it's done in an open, again, authentic forum, right? People are going to listen to this. They're going to listen to two guys telling the truth. And we both want an upside for our time. And it's not always money now, it's relationships later. I don't hunt and kill, I farm, right? I farm relationships. So, you know, you are now a mentor to me. We talked about it before we even started the podcast. I got some challenges. I don't want something for nothing. I want to hire some services. Now we've got, you know, we got business, we got reciprocity, and I believe that you will bring me value.
So I'll tell you what, let's move towards wrapping up. For sure, send me a link. I was going to say this afterwards, but do send me a link to that.
I will.
That webinar, and I'll include it actually on the show notes. So anybody listening can also click
that would be
on
great. Yeah,
and I'm more than happy to.
You know what? Let's critique it. Let's make it an education piece.
Yeah, we could. I could totally do that. I've got to suspect that it's probably just fabulous. But let me take a look. Send me that first.
That was the best thing you said all day.
I think it's got more to do with the follow-up. That's just my guess. But anyway, let's send that to me, and I'll include it in the show notes. Let's wrap up with 3 rapid-fire questions that I ask all of my guests, if you don't mind.
No.
Dave, what are the key daily habits that you have, personal habits that make you successful?
Glass of water when I get out of bed, half an hour of meditation before I actually go at it.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay, second question. What's been the hardest lesson you've learned in real estate?
Not everybody tells the truth. That really has been the hardest lesson. You know, I've got a philosophy where everybody starts at 100 and loses points, whereas most people say everybody starts at 0 and gains points. I'm going to stick with my philosophy on it, but you know, I've got enough spidey sense today and enough times that I've had challenges that I know what's up. So I just like people to be truthful.
Yeah, you go into a relationship. I find life better going into a relationship
on the basis of trust and then hoping that it stays that.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So my last question is advice for somebody. Now you're going out there raising money for Freedom Venture for your new deals. Advice for somebody thinking of investing in real estate online for the first time. What advice would you give that person?
It's due diligence. It's actually, just because something has a shiny package, it doesn't mean that there are good goods inside of it, right? Ask the hard questions, due diligence, trust, but verify, and then move forward with confidence. It's as simple as that, right? It's as simple as that. Can they show you a track record that has a high expectation of performing the same way in the future? And if they can, invest with confidence and enjoy the ride. Because here's the deal. In a fund structure like ours, we do all the work. We find the deals. We put the bank financing on it. We put our reputations, our careers into everything that we do. And then we give 75% of the profits to our investors. How do you like them apples, right? So it's a great business to invest in, to be passive, due diligence. It's really the operators that you're investing with, right?
Perfect. Dave Seymour, star of A&E's Flipping Boston, and now fund manager, I think is your title, correct? At Freedom Venture Investments. Thank you so very much for being on my show today.
Thanks, Adam.
That was Dave Seymour, A&E Flipping Boston superstar and fund manager at Freedom Venture Investments. Please be sure to go to the podcast page for today's episode to see some short links to video highlights and also to get more information on Dave and Freedom Ventures. And of course, be sure to go and take a look at my new book, Syndicate, where you will learn everything you need to about raising money online. It is by far the most detailed and comprehensive summary of basically everything that we do for our private clients. You're going to love it. Syndicate there at gowercrowd.com. That's it. Thanks so much for listening. And thank you, Dave Seymour, now fund manager, former television star, but now fund manager at Freedom Venture Investments, for your time with me today. What a blast getting to know you. Thank you so very much for spending time with me today. That is all for this episode. I'll see you next time. And in the meantime, stay well. And for now, this is Dr. Adam Gower signing off.